Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Welcome. You're listening to Guiding Stars Evolutionary Astrology Radio. This is your host, Kristen Fontana, and my co-host, Rose Marcus, here with me from Vancouver, Canada. Welcome back, Rose.
Thank you, Kristen.
And before we get started today, it is November. This is going to be aired the day after Thanksgiving. But we want to remind you that we are part of a team of teachers who have started a Pluto class series that initiated the first weekend in October. And Rose and I team taught that class on the Mars retrograde transit, which is what's happening right now until January 12th. And the second class was first weekend of November, teaching the Pluto paradigm, which is the paradigm that reveals your evolutionary journey. And we have 7 more classes to go in the next 7 months, so if you're not a part of this awesome tour, we would love for you to be there. And check out the website for more information, jwgaea.org. All right, anything else?
Even if you don't join the whole series and you just want to know about that Mars retrograde, that single lecture is available for sale.
All right, yeah, and any other of the classes. And there's class descriptions on the website. You can drop in for one class or take the whole series, and if you sign up for the series, it's only $11 a class, which is a steal. So anyway, check it out if you haven't. All right, so we are gathering post-eclipse season. Wow, and it has been a lot. I'm sure you've heard countless stories, as I have, Rose. We were just talking before the break because Mars is squaring Neptune as we are recording this, so we apologize if either one of us is sounding spaced out. We'll do our best to sound grounded and be grounded. You warned us, but Rose, last time you said, because it moved forward through the square, then retrograde through the square right now, that something will be revealed. But sometimes we can still just feel a bit fuzzy. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. And, we have just come out of that eclipse, which was on the midterm election, and Mercury and Uranus were opposition, and that always brings surprise, right? So an eclipse is always some of the unexpected, and maybe even the turnout of that midterm election was surprising to many, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so there was that, and we do have the eclipses continue to be potent or, have a magnetic resonance over a period of time. So that eclipse on November 8 and the one at the end of October, although they'll kind of take a more background position right now, they're still going to be creating kind of a potent backdrop for everything that we're doing. And absolutely, we are just recording this, pre-recording it, where when Mars and Neptune are in square, and Mars is traveling retrograde right now through the middle of January. And Neptune and Pisces influences continue to be triggered in one way or another. So there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot right in front of us that we can't know. And I always think, Kristen, of driving in a car in the fog and how you can only see just right in front of the headlights. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way we're traveling right now. And so, despite the fact that there is such an unknown element going on, there's still this incredible creative potency, or, there's a lot on brew. So just because you can't see it or you don't know it or you are uncertain, the creative dynamic of evolution is continuing at an accelerated pace. That's what I think, right? So
definitely.
So you have to know, and that's kind of a point, I think, is not to get tripped up in the moment. Two things with that. I think I said this last show, is do this moment to the best of your ability, and it will sort out the next moment. Mm-hmm. But don't get hung up in it, too, right? Don't get stuck where you are. Continue to allow flow to take place. I'm doing this for now, and in the next moment, if I go on to something else, that's what I'll be going on to. And that's in a thought process. I'm trying to work out a plan. I'm trying to make a decision. I'm trying to figure out my next goals. It might be right now, okay, this is what I'm settling in on, and that's perfectly fine. But if it shifts in the next moment, that's okay too, right?
Yeah, that's Mars retrograde in Gemini.
Yeah.
You're going to go this direction, and maybe you're going to, detour in that direction. I think, too, with Mars retrograde, even though you are paring down all of the madness a bit, like you're really paring down, right, on things. You're bringing your focus tighter, even though there might be one or more or two things going on, two or three. But it is about focusing and really, what's the expression? A crescendo effect in music, is when it gets louder, 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 and a descendo is when it's like the lesser sign when you're doing math. Mm-hmm. But that's what it is with the Mars Gemini retrograde, right? It's almost like a descendo, but the music's very loud inside of you. It's getting hot in there and loud, and let's focus here and concentrate there. And so I definitely can feel that. And when I say narrowing in, it's not something can feel larger than life inside of you, but there's a focus. It's not a narrowing so much in a negative way.
Yeah, and these side tracks that you might go down, or these, temporary tracks that you might follow, whatever they might be, they're all part of the process, right? So considering the various options or entertaining the possibilities and so on. And we work through an elimination process. So it's quite fine to take that on and kind of live it out in your mind's eye, right? And if it comes to naught, it's productive too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. I mean, because everything that you're doing, whether it's in your mind, in your soul, in your heart, all the things that you're working on, they may not be manifesting outside of you, but there's a lot of work being done within yourself, so you can be clear, so that fog can clear, and it will by the time people are listening to this show, perhaps even, although it will still be probably in a range to a square, right, the Mars square Neptune. But it will, I do feel that the fog will be dissipating by that time.
Yeah, well, we probably have a little bit further to go, and of course, I think maybe the holidays are a good distraction, don't you?
Always.
It gives us the chance to pull back a little bit from the intensity of life and the seriousness and the dire news that we might have, that we're listening to and so on, and just to pull back and remember what is truly important in our lives, which is, good health and loving the people in your life and self-honoring.
Yeah, very, very much self-honoring on that note. So as we move into the end of November, and let's see, the 25th is Thanksgiving in the United States, and if I have that correct,
24.
The 24th is Thanksgiving.
24.
Sorry, thank you.
Yes.
25th is when this will be aired. But as we pull into that last week, in particular, I would say Monday the 28th, 29th, 30th, and spilling into the beginning of December 1st and 2nd, Saturn and Mars will be trining each other. So that is the week, definitely, that will feel far different than really this fog that we're feeling at the moment, and maybe it will be spilling into the days ahead for sure. But wouldn't you agree that is just a clearing and anchoring and stabilizing energy that week?
Yeah, I was looking forward to that Mars-Saturn trine on the 28th as well, too. You know, some good aspect there to solidify or, you know, anchor it, make it real in some kind of tangible way. So I am looking forward to that. And just before we get there, I want to tell listeners that just the day before Thanksgiving, the 23rd of November, Jupiter has ended its retrograde cycle. So the end of Jupiter, we still have Uranus retrograde until late January. And at the beginning of December, Neptune will finish its retrograde. But, you know, one by one, as we had earlier this year, earlier this fall, I should say, so many planets in retrograde, right? You know, so all the outer planets in retrograde. So Jupiter has just turned direct in the sign of Pisces. And it will be December 20th when Jupiter will leave Pisces and move into Aries. So it was in Aries earlier this year for a brief period of time. And when was that? Mid-May through the end of October, Jupiter was traveling through Pisces. So it started the year and finishes the year in the sign of Pisces and then moves into Aries. So we still have a little bit further to go with that kind of nebulous, uncertain transit, right?
Yeah, definitely. So Jupiter will station direct on the 23rd. Is that what you said?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. Yep. And on that same day, well, it's at 29 degrees or 28 degrees Pisces, we have a new moon in Sagittarius. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so it's an interesting thing because Mercury and Venus have just moved into Sagittarius. We've got a new moon in Sagittarius. So we've got a lot of energy there. We also have Mars retrograde just past the square to Neptune. And we have asteroid Ceres in an opposition there as well too, so forming a T-square in the sign of Virgo. And I do think that as you started the show saying revelatory, I think that this Jupiter direct, the influence of that is informing in that way, exposing, revealing, uncovering, something that helps you to move in a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Jupiter rules the sign of Sagittarius, and it's stationing direct in Pisces. So one of the things that I think about with Jupiter at 28 degrees of Pisces, ruling this new moon in Sagittarius. I mean, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and a new moon reflects a new beginning. Pisces reflects healing, something coming full circle, but it also reflects the dream on the heels of that, of all that's possible or the ideal. And so it's such a transitionary day, in my opinion. Especially, I do feel it will be really quite nice for Thanksgiving and the weekend, for coming together with, maybe you coming together with friends and family in a new way, or it just feels different this time. But it's interesting to have something so new. So I think of Aries when I think of new, and yet we've got Mars retrograde and Jupiter in Pisces. So it's like the hope of what's coming, maybe, is what it will feel like. Yes, maybe today is not the day when it all will come to be, but I have this faith in my heart and my soul that it will become that. That's so Jupiterian, or that's so Sagittarian. The faith of what can be, or the hope of what can be, the optimistic strides that you make moving forward. And we have to be in a spirit of what can be for it to be. If we're in a spirit of what can't be, then it won't be. So, right, we got to be in that place of believing in all that is and all that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are recording this with the sun still in Scorpio, and Venus and Mercury just moving forward into Sagittarius as well, too. You know, these are very different influences. So Sagittarius is always future-bound or looking ahead and looking to the positive, where, you know, Scorpio kind of looks in the dark, right? Looks in the nooks and crannies, where Sagittarius entertains optimism and faith and inspiration and hope and all of that. So it's amazing where you can find it. Amazing how it comes out of you. You know, I watch sometimes my own transits, and I've got like oh my God, I'm down in the dumps, and I look ahead and go, oh good, there's the beginning of the sad. I'll be happy in a day or so.
I mean, that is the power of astrology, can I say? I mean, who was I talking to? A client yesterday who was very into astrology, and she's like, I don't know what people do. I don't even know how they function without having this compass, right, this map, because when you're feeling down, you really don't know when you're going to feel better. But, of course, because you're just feeling in the dumps about something. And yet when you're really aware of what's happening astrologically, because you've experienced it and lived so much of it for so many years, perhaps, you know when you see certain shifts astrologically that you too will shift with it. And just that knowing can immediately put you in a different place, like you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's
like a light switch.
That's the beauty of astrology. I always say that so long as you know where on the wheel you sit, you can be okay with it. You know?
Yeah.
You know, it's
that's a good point.
Knowing that cycles are going to end and new cycles are going to come into being. That's really, really important.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we, our engineer, Jay, shared with us. He has a new mantra. That was his eclipse commitment about, changing his future, and he shared it with us, and we loved it. So I told him he was going to be a part of our case study to see what he's able to manifest. So every day is a beautiful litany or mantra, I should say, of just beautiful words strung together that makes me feel good just listening to him say them. It's putting good energy out into the world of what you wish and what you want to leave behind. Anything undermining, self-undermining, anything that's getting in the way, anything that doesn't serve you can just stay back in the background behind you. Rearview mirror time. But everything that you want to manifest, you're staying open to it and receptive to the universe, to God, to allow these things into your life.
Absolutely. And, another point to make, too, when you feel disturbed, inside of yourself, anxious and so on. Pisces, simplify, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just try not to pile it on top of your shoulders so high. The work will always be there for tomorrow, but for right now, could you give yourself some breathing space in the mind, some breathing space in the heart, right? Take a few minutes to just pull back from the high wire.
Yes, it's so much about surrendering, just letting go of all the Virgo stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Wherever your mind is sending you in any moment or taking you, just clear some space for better things. So the new moon, though, real quick. So Sagittarius new moon, there's obviously some other things happening at that time that don't allow it to be a total springboard, but it can be, I feel like it really can be about imagining for yourself a far better outcome or a far better reality than maybe what's in place at the moment. Like really looking out to the horizon, really expanding your view, looking into the distance. Again, knowing you're not going to be there tomorrow. But that's what new moons are for. They're like wish-making days, if you want to really keep it simple in that way, and wishing for something more than is today, or more for yourself. And maybe it's about what you wish to become in the new year, or how you personally wish to expand, whether it's within or within a relationship, and what you do to go about that.
Well, I just think with this Mars-Neptune square, with Jupiter turning around, the new moon, and so on, just getting through Thanksgiving and making it to the 28th when Mars and Saturn, which is in the sign of Aquarius, form this lovely trine, things can just fall into place, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether I should turn left or right. I don't know how to put left foot in front of right foot, and I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden it goes click, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very, very, very positive. I think. Look to that transit to get you started.
Well, I mean, when we shift our inner space and we surrender, we don't hold on. We really surrender. We allow ourselves to just float. And the word flow you were using, allowing flow, then those serendipitous moments can feel to happen, right? That's a Sagittarian phenomenon. You just end up at the right place at the right time, or something happens with greater ease, and you're like, wow, that was easy. I wasn't expecting that. It's the best thing when that occurs, right? When things just happen without us having to force it. So, yeah, flow is a wonderful word for this, finding the flow, really. You don't have to work too hard to find it, I think, is really what the message is.
Exactly. And just the day after that lovely Mars-Saturn trine, Mercury will oppose Mars, and that's informing as well, too, right? Again, bit by bit, we're getting to where we need to.
What day is that?
On the 29th.
29th, okay. Yep. But that week looks strong, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because you still got Saturn and Mars in such a securing aspect.
Yes.
So I'm feeling good about that. All right, we'll be right back after the break.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. I'm feeling relaxed already.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
Water. In the hot summer sun, water is a natural thought, like relaxing at the beach with the waves lapping at your feet, or perhaps being with your significant other under a secluded, gently cascading waterfall. If you want a little more action, how about water skiing or boating on an icy, clear blue lake? With Expedia.com, everything you need for travel, flights, hotels, cruises, vacation packages, they have it all at a price you can afford. Go to HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Expedia.com.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we have returned. I'm here with Rose Marcus, and we are discussing transits for the end of November and December of 2022. And just before the break, we were discussing, again, this Mars-Saturn trine, Saturn in Aquarius, Mars retrograde in Gemini. And the day after, Mars and Mercury will be opposing one another, which Rose said was informing. It's a nice way of saying that. Because it could be also confronting, conversationally, and watch the trigger happy button on that day. But there's another aspect right after that. What was that?
Well, and that's it. The Mercury-Mars thing. It's about bringing it out into the open, right? So Mercury is going to oppose Mars, and then it's going to square Neptune on the 1st of December. All right, and we have the same thing going on.
You mean Venus?
Nope, Mercury. So
Mercury's going to square Neptune.
Yeah, Mercury and Venus have just moved forward. We're pre-recording this. Have just moved forward into Sagittarius, right?
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
And they both come into a new phase relationship. I've forgotten what day that is, but they are moving along together. So they're starting a whole new, cycle here in the sign of Sagittarius. So first, Mercury opposes Mars and squares Neptune. It'll do that from the 29th of November through the 1st of December. And on the 30th, we have Venus-Mars opposition. And on the 3rd, we have Venus square Neptune. So just this, end of November into the beginning of December, we have Mercury, the communication planet, our perception archetype here, and Venus, the evaluation principle, relating principle here, and dealing with, net worth and self-worth, as I always say, your finances, your relationship, to your relationship to your beliefs, maybe, because it's in Sag, right? So we've got those transits moving along, but. And I was looking as I was preparing for today. What I noticed was, when Venus and Mars, they're a planetary pair, and they are the relationship duo, right? So relationships, as I always say, me to me, me to you, and me to us, right? That whole dynamic. And Venus-Mars are a 2-year cycle, right? So every 2 years we're moving through a new relationship chapter in terms of the evolution of how we are, perceiving and creating our reality in terms of my relationship to myself and my relationship to the people in my world and so forth, right? It's all of that. And we started a new Mars-Venus cycle in March, and that was a very, very potent one. It was the start of March. You might have remembered that, Kristen, with Pluto conjunct, right? And that was really dynamic because the planets were moving slowly together, right? So as of November 30th, Venus and Mars hit the halfway point of this 2-year cycle. But this is just since March to December. The cycle will complete in February of 2024. So we've raced through the first half of this Mars-Venus agenda, and now we're going to have well over a year and a bit, 14 months, to do the second half of the Venus-Mars cycle. And that's because we've got Mars retrograde right now, and later on in 2023 we will have Venus retrograde. So, the first half of the cycle is more of the kind of, we say, the subjective development. It's me feeling my way along. And the second half of it is the interfacing or the interactive half of that. So it'll be very interesting to see. I just wanted to bring that up so that listeners out there could track, what's been going on for me this year in terms of, how I'm feeling about myself, what my how I'm looking to Aquarius reinvent, and that's at the nature of all levels, including my survival, my money, my finances. We're talking about recession and, economic concerns right now, all of that. But how do I reinvent my lifestyle? How do I reinvent my relationship? how do I develop the new me? And that whole process that has been in this subjective development, we're going to the next level with it over this next, through 2023 and into the start of 2024. Interesting, right?
Definitely. Yeah, going back to March, too, that was Mars, Venus, Pluto, all conjunct.
Right, in the sign,
Capricorn.
In Capricorn, yes.
Nice.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so, and in Capricorn, bringing something to completion, seeding for the new reality, right? And so Venus and Mars started the new journey in Aquarius, but, it was this back and forth between those two, and that was exactly when Russia moved in on Ukraine as well, too.
That's right.
So big stuff going on in the world. The opposition right now is going through, Mars is in Gemini and Venus is in Sagittarius, and Mars is retrograde in Gemini. And I find that this Mars cycle, 7 months of Mars in Gemini, retrograde since the end of October through the middle of January, it has quite a karmic kick to it. It's karmic potency. Whatever circumstance or relationship dynamic you are facing right now, there's something very important about it. It's like a checkpoint for your evolution, right? It's like something from recent past lifetimes. It's something really important with a key person, a key relationship issue, a key circumstance that your soul is choosing to work through to undo the knots, so to speak. So that you can move forward. So this is with Gemini. Again, it's all about how we're perceiving and how we are taking that information in and using that to create the existing reality. And when Mars is retrograde, any planet in retrograde is an individuation archetype. It is meant for you to observe what is happening and to gain new perspective on it.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about Venus opposing Mars. Well, Mercury was opposing Mars first, so let's go back to that week for a moment. So we've got Monday, November 28th, Saturn trining Mars that week. The next day, Mercury will be opposing Mars, which is informing, but it also can be a little confronting. We could get really going to need to be talking about something or negotiating something. Then we've got Venus opposing Mars also the next day after that. But Venus will be sextiling Saturn at that same time. And so this is really about making sure that you're asking for what you need. What is fair? It's like if you're really wanting the raise, or you're really needing something more in a relationship, this is the time to do it. This is the time to secure a change at that time. And with Venus sextiling Saturn, it is so much about come in from a different angle, a Uranus or Aquarius angle, side door, back door. Try something new. And I do feel like it will work this time.
Well, and let me also say that on the 29th, Mercury is also sextile Saturn. So we have the Mercury sextile Saturn one day and the Venus sextile Saturn the next day, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have lots of support there. Mercury sextile Saturn, I think, is synchronicity, right? It's like, ooh, I don't know whether I can have that conversation. And, boy, the moment showed up.
Right.
Right?
So true. That is such a perfect way to describe that. Bingo. Yeah. All right. Did I hear the...
Yes, you did.
Okay. We're going to move to a break. We'll be right back.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of evolutionary astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Christian Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, where it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question. Why am I here? Thanks for listening, and God bless.
Okay, you're stressed. You need a little R&R. Wouldn't going to a spa help? There's all kinds of spas, too. Destination spas, medical spas, day spas, even dental and mobile spas. Where do you find the right spa at the right price? Oh, no, more stress? Well, not anymore. Visit spafinders.com. At spafinders.com, you'll find everything you need to know about spas from around the world. So de-stress. Click on spafinders.com right on our homepage. Ah, I'm feeling relaxed already.
Whether you're taking a short trip or traveling across the world, Magellans.com is the world's most trusted source for travel, and they guarantee 100% satisfaction. They have everything you need to make travel just a bit more pleasurable. Who doesn't like that? They have travel alarms, clothing, the best luggage, wallets, everything you need except the ticket. Visit the advertiser page on healthylife.net and click on Magellans now. You will not only see their travel products, but get a free catalog and read articles with tips on how to make your travel easier. Visit the advertiser page and click on Magellans now.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back and discussing transits for the end of November, December 2022. And right before the break, you were, it's such a perfect way to say it, it bears repeating or begs repeating. And so all of us have had that experience before where maybe you were dreading having a conversation or dreading just speaking your piece and getting it out. And so Sagittarius is all about a sign. Give me a sign, right? Hey, universe, hey, God, give me a sign. The signs are going to be everywhere. And the opening is going to happen. So you've got to take the opening. It's going to benefit you big if you do. Saturn can be about our fears at times, but it's in such a wonderful position to Saturn, Mercury, and Venus ultimately that you will be supported. It's like being rewarded because you had the courage to take that step.
Well, so, Sagittarius is really spontaneous, right? You never know what you're going to say before it hits out of your mouth. But you have to trust that the right words are going to show up at the right time. Yeah.
Indeed. All right, what's next? We got a full moon after that.
Yeah, well, the full moon, too. And just to remind while we're on that week, that the 3rd of December, Neptune ends retrograde, right? So, again, we're moving forward with Pisces, Neptune stuff. On the 5th, we have Mercury and Jupiter in square. And then on the 6th, Mercury moves into Capricorn. And the 7th, oh my goodness, full moon, 16 degrees Gemini. Yeah, so the importance of this particular full moon is that it is the midpoint peak of the Mars retrograde cycle. So any retrograde cycle is that planet's relationship with the sun, right? So Mars will be in an opposition to the sun on the day of the full moon.
Wow.
Yes.
Sit tight.
Well,
so describe that for people.
Well, I'm just trying to pull. Oh, there it is. Okay, I was trying to pull up the chart there. So, that could be really impulsive. It could be something that is jettisoning in some way. All of a sudden you are out the door with the keys in your hand is what I'll say about this transit, right? So it is definitely mobilizing in some dynamic way. Venus is still on its way to a square with Neptune. It's 27 degrees Sagittarius. Mercury has just moved into Capricorn. I think it's catapulting. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I have an example of it, like something that just happened. It was during the eclipse, though, and a friend of mine moved from the west to the east in New Hampshire. She was taking her dogs out on the trails, and one of her dogs, here's two, this is Gemini, right? One of her dogs had an altercation with a porcupine.
Oh, no.
Yes. And ended up with like 120 needles in his body.
Oh.
Can't remember. Something happened to the other dog too. I can't even remember now. But anyway, so she thought she got them all out. But a couple of they'll either work their way out or they'll work their way. The twills.
Oh.
They'll work their way out or they'll work their way in. And 118 worked their way out, and 2 of them worked their way in. And this poor pup got a pneumothorax, so she had to jump in the car and drive an hour and 45 minutes because she was nowhere near a place that could help her pup. Now, obviously, this is just a classic. I think about the Mars as being like a twill, right? And it's, of course, she's in her car, like you said, grabbed her keys, and she's off to the vet. Nowhere near. I mean, being in she's from Northern California, where you can get anywhere in 10 minutes. Near she's. So that to me feels like, well, that was kind of very ecliptic, but it feels a lot like what you're talking about. It is a time to just. Some things may cause you to work fast or move fast, but if anything, it's about trying to stay in response mode versus reaction mode.
Yes.
Because when we're reacting to something, it can make it worse, right? I mean, it won't take much to trigger us at that time. It will take very little to really kind of heat things up in a space with that transit. I mean, the full moon is your emotional body, everything that you've probably even held on to over time that you haven't spoken or said, may come out in a heated way. So just be mindful and thoughtful around that time.
Well, I also think it is a really major switch track. When I have a full moon in Gemini, you're switching from A to B, and kind of instantaneously, perhaps.
Right.
It's interesting because the full moon is in square to Juno, the contract asteroid. Contract asteroid's 15 degrees, right? So that could be the ending of a contract, the beginning of another one. The ending of a plan, the beginning of another one. It could be finishing a track, starting a new one. It's like perhaps no time between a finishing point and a starting point, right?
Right.
That's what I think about this. Because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, has just moved into Capricorn, whatever it is solidifies right away. Whatever it is becomes real immediately, whatever it might be. That's the nature of Gemini, right? It's instantaneous, it's immediate, it's now, right? So whatever that switch track is could be quite quick.
Okay. Oh, I definitely agree with that. And I also feel that what could come up at that time, if you were considering 2 options, one will reveal itself as just not the right one, right?
Yeah, a no-go and a yay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the nature of this Mars retrograde anyway. Mars direct has a batch of different options. Mars retrograde is about eliminating the options that will not withstand the long term, right? So
right.
In peeling that back, it reveals the direction forward. And then once Mars turns direct in January and through the end of March, when it's in the sign of Gemini, we're on go, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of clients right now are waiting to sign contracts, getting ready to put their house on the market, or, making plans but have not quite gotten there yet, and it's a bit of a domino. That's the Gemini piece. I can't do this because I'm waiting for that. that piece of information, or I'm waiting for this person to come forward, I'm waiting for this next thing to happen before I can start going on my end.
Right.
And I think that
exactly.
this eclipse, this full moon allows for that to move forward. The
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interest rates are crazy here. They're like 7%, I think. So not a lot of people buying houses probably right now.
Well, we've had people doing the same thing here as well too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I think that might get into the, although it's just crazy. I mean, I was in the grocery store yesterday listening to Christmas music.
Oh, my gosh, already?
Oh, yeah, and, while they had Halloween decorations, they also had Christmas decorations. It's like,
Oh, my goodness.
Retailers are trying to speed things up, right? So I think we'll go into retail overload here from that full moon forward.
Oh, there you go. Some therapy.
Yeah.
Just to ease what everybody's been through a little better. All right, we're going to move to a quick break again. We'll be right back.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder, so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
Take one step towards spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
In college, I took a lot of history and liberal arts classes, and frankly, I don't remember much of any of it. But as an adult, I find myself engrossed in fascinating programs on the A&E and History Channel. They've pretty much helped me to be pretty impressive at social functions, and I just found out today that I can purchase DVDs of my favorite A&E and History Channel programs right through HealthyLife.net. You should visit HealthyLife.net and order your favorite A&E and History Channel program DVDs as well, and then discover how many people you can impress during your next social occasion.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we have returned, Rose. So, post-full moon. So, it's like all over the place between now and the 7th. So up, down, and all around. A lot of good stuff and a lot of pushes on the soul for sure, stretching the emotional body. Indeed, this is going to be a ride, and a ride worth taking for sure. How does the remainder of this month play out?
One other thing I just thought of to mention as well, too, with all this Neptune transits that we have, Jupiter and Neptune and so forth, Neptune rules the immune system, right? You know, there's a lot of reports out there about about COVID and the flu and respiratory and all that. And it is very, very much worth it for everyone out there to heed the warnings and protect your immune system. And I would be doing that right through Christmas, I think. We still have these influences going on, and just if you can avoid being sick by just doing some simple measures, I think that that's a good idea, right?
Yeah, for sure. Pump up the vitamin C and the wellness formula, and wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Come on, people. And I tell you, I can't even tell you how many people I know have gotten sick. Oh, I was on the airplane. Did you wear a mask? Well, it's like you're an incubator for this stuff. What are you doing?
I know. I've been at the store wearing a mask the past couple of days, and I'm getting weird looks from people, and I'm thinking, I just am not going to get sick again this year. I'm always sick.
Well, I mean, that's my whole thing. Why would I subject myself to that? I don't want to be sick. I can't afford to get sick because then I can't write my column. I can't do my readings. So anyway, it's just a smarter thing to do. Everything. What they say, something like 7 different variants are supposed to be circulating. Yes, you can still go out in the world, but if you're in a crowded place, then I think it's a smart thing to do. So
yeah, and all this Neptune backdrop as well too. That idea, time is moving forward. Before you know it, it's already going to be spring of next year. I mean, I know the retailers are trying to push us on holiday shopping, but I also think that Christmas is a time of year where if you have difficult family situations or less people around, it can be very depressing, right? And again, I will say that the small things are what count. Make yourself happy in whatever way you can, and find those peaceful moments for yourself in whatever way you can, right? Not so important to pay attention to the outer world right now, but more your internal world. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the inner world is vast, and there's so much to explore. There's also a whole heck of a lot more peace that can be accessed when you nurture those spaces. And that's maybe the lesson too. Well, it is a lesson ultimately for us all, and so it's an important thing to do on a daily basis, whether you're meditating or just carving out some space for yourself to be quiet and to find some peace. And during a crazy time on this planet, I have to say it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So we have to pull away from the crazy every once in a while.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So
moving forward through the month of December, the 14th we have Sun Neptune square. So again, we have all these Neptune transits there, and I think that by the time we go along, I know that right at the end we're running around like crazy people trying to prepare for the holidays. But I think that really the more we can slow down, the better. Mercury trine Uranus on the 17th, which is very lovely, leading into Christmas week. And on the 20th of December, Jupiter will finish with Pisces and move into Aries. So if you can't figure out your plans for next, you wait until that Jupiter moves into Aries, and probably everything will fall into place just in the couple of days before Christmas. That's what I think, right? Real nice trine on the 22nd with Venus and Uranus as well, too. Of course, the 21st is the winter solstice, and on that day we have Sun Jupiter in square as well too. So I think the lead in, I'm looking at the transits here, on the 17th, 18th, that weekend looks pretty nice for just relaxing, taking it easy. The days before Christmas look like they'll fall into place quite nicely in terms of you being able to move forward with whatever plans and activities you have. And on the 23rd, Chiron, which is traveling through Aries, stations direct to, and so that's some, moving forward. Chiron's such a slow mover through the sign of Aries, and it might be a Chiron return for you. There's always some poignancy in Chiron transits, right? So again, try to, try to create a degree of separation, I think, between you and your anxiety, and just take the moment as it comes. Christmas Day, Moon is in Aquarius, and there's a nice Moon-Mars trine, and so on. The 24th looks good. I think that looks like a nice vacation. The whatever it is you might do, whether you've got a small thing going or whether you're minimizing this year. And it's not so much, I've been out there looking at things thinking like, I don't really want to shop, So Christmas isn't so much about, buying into the retail hype, but about the quality time that you spend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is so much, always the ultimate teaching. Everything out there, the material world, it's such a temporary fix. It's fun, and it's it's festive, and there's all sorts of reasons why people want to experience all that goes along with it. But to minimize, I think, the clutter, so to speak, and just focus on the content, focus on the spaces, focus on really just paring down, slowing down, and maximizing the moment with the ones that you love, and you'll get the most out of this season.
Absolutely. And then on the 29th, just so that we give you a little heads up, and I think we'll be back before some of these transits happen, but we will have another Mercury retrograde starting on the 29th, and it is in the sign of Capricorn. And I've forgotten the date. I think it goes to about the 16th of January. So Mars will end retrograde on the 12th of January, and we extend that to the 16th. 18th, I think it is, maybe 17th for Mercury. So as we come to the end of the month and the sign of Capricorn, it might slow down the pace a little bit more. We might extend the waiting game just a little bit longer before we launch into a new cycle and a new year.
That's so interesting because, Mercury is going to be retrograde, and it's going to retrograde at the transition of when Mars is moving direct. Mars is in Gemini retrograde right now. It will move direct around the 12th of January. Mercury rules Gemini and will move direct at what degree?
Mercury moves direct at 8.
At 8 Capricorn?
Capricorn, right, yeah.
And a few days after Mars has stationed direct, and Mars will take a few days to catch up. It's just going to feel kind of retrograde in January once again. Maybe we tend to say this at times, but your new year may not feel to begin till February 1st this year, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, too. That between the Mars turning direct on the 12th and Mercury turning direct on the 18th, that's it may be a real big transition, but things might solidify in there. And just once we get to the 22nd, Uranus ends retrograde as well, too. So expect going at the end of February forward, that's going to be springboard time.
Yeah, because, right, so Uranus will still be retrograde. Saturn is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, and Saturn is all about time. So January is definitely not your launch month. February 1st it will be, or the end of January. So, in other words, don't rush it, don't force it, take your time, make it right, and it'll be worth it in the long run. All right, Rose and I will be back the end of December at some point to shine a light further and more detail for January for you. Happy Thanksgiving if you are living, or Thanksgiving weekend by the time you hear this, if you're living in the U.S., and we'll see you next time. Namaste.